Up. 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 Yes, up. Up. Do you have enough room? I don't know. Oh, there you go. See, why does she wait for me to do this every time? I don't get it. She wants me to help her to get up here, but she's perfectly capable of doing it herself. Anyways, hey, what's going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario. This is my dog, Lily, in case you do not know. This is the couch in the basement, and we're going to be relaxing here. We're just going to talk a little bit, alright? This is one of my favorite videos to do on the channel every year, and I try and do this every year. I think I've been doing this since 2013. No, not this one. Game of the Year has been since 2013. I want to say this video I've started doing since 2016, and people ask about, if I'm going to make this type of video. And I still plan on it, so it's been a tradition for 3 years and counting at this point. But anyways, as I said, what's going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and in case you do not know, again, this is just gonna be, look, I'm wearing these pajama shorts, alright? I'm relaxed. I'm chilling here with my dog. And I'm gonna talk about every single game I beat this year, in 2019. Now, the reason why I make this video every year is because I sort of put a challenge on myself. You see, I graduated college at the end of 2015, and that was when I started really going out into the workforce and all that stuff, and I wanted to keep myself grounded to some extent in terms of gaming. So, what I decided to do was I said, you know what, I'm gonna see if I could beat a game every single month. And it's kind of organically happened. Like, at the beginning of 2016, I beat a game in January, beat a few games in February, and then I said, can I do this every month? Let's see. And I thought of doing a video about this as well. And the video idea came from, I believe he's changed his name now, but the YouTuber formerly known as Broken Games HD, it's now Broken Games HDR, and this was years ago on Weapon Wheel Podcast. They were, I don't listen to it or watch it anymore, so I don't even know if they still do this. But they would just all have a competition to see how many games they beat throughout a year, and they would see, who was the winner at the end. And I was thinking, that sounds like a really fun thing, but I'm just competing with myself. But really, again, kind of going back to this, I kind of had that inspiration. It kind of just started happening naturally and organically there. And then I said, you know what? Because I'm going to be, working full-time for the first time, I still want to make sure I have time to game. Because gaming is a hobby that I really do enjoy, and actually something that I was even stepping away from, that's not the proper term, I was doing less of this year, like a lot less of for a bit, and I really didn't like it, like to the point where I felt like I was kind of having like sneak game time in at times, and I had to kind of reprogram that with myself and just be like, hey, this is a hobby, this is something I enjoy, I should actually dedicate some more time doing it, and I did, and I think you all might see, kind of the trajectory of what happened with that as well too. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this. So, one of the other things with this being real casual, I don't remember all the games I beat, alright? What I do is on my phone, right here, I have a document where I update it all year. So I'm going to be going through this, I'm going to be hanging out with Lily, I'm going to be telling you, showing you each game that I beat and my thoughts on it. So first of all, we have Katamari Damacy Reroll. This is the first game I beat in 2019. And this was an interesting one. So, funny enough, I have this game, the original game, on PS2, and Reroll is a remaster that they released on the Switch. And this is a fantastic game. If you have any interest in this, I recommend picking it up, and it is great on the Switch. And funny enough, I never beat this game on the PS2. I own it, but I never beat it. I got stuck near the end. And I could tell because at the point I got stuck, I ended up kind of just burning through it. Like, I think my skill level has just really come up unless this game was just a lot easier. But I think I beat this game in 2 or 3 sittings. And I remember even like kind of near the end where it was getting harder, at one point I said, alright, I'll tackle this later. And then a few days later I came back to it, and within an hour I beat the game, like the credits were rolling and everything. This is just such a charming game. I love it. I can't recommend the Katamari games enough. And I actually picked this up when it was harder to find. I got this because when it first came out, for anyone that doesn't know if you're in the US, this was a GameStop exclusive. So I did not pre-order it. I had to go into GameStop. I ended up getting the last copy that was there. And I don't remember the exact story, but it was a copy that it wasn't on pre-order, but it was on hold, and they hid it in the back, but the hold person, they kind of just determined and looked at themselves, they're like, well, this guy wants it, and he's here now, and the hold person's not showing up, so here you go. And then I got it. But now it's not really a GameStop exclusive, thankfully, anymore. I've seen it at Best Buy, so they did another print run. But for a bit, it was hard to find this as well, too, which is frustrating because I like physical access. I'm a physical collector, and nobody should be deprived of Katamari, you know? So this is a fantastic game to start off the year with. The next game I ended up finishing was, this is a placeholder, I just want to say, because it was not on the Switch, but Oxenfree. This was a really cool game. I ended up picking this up, obviously physically here, but at the time I didn't have this physically. I actually ended up starting and I finished this on the Xbox One, and I played it through Game Pass. And I remember what happened was I had looked into it, I saw that it seemed interesting, which is why I picked it up on Limited Run Games. And then, you know, it was available on Game Pass, and it was available then at that time. I didn't have it physically here. And my girlfriend and I were kind of looking for a game to play together, and by play together, I mean it's like I will control it and she will kind of pick what we're doing and such. So I talked about Oxenfree, and she seemed down for it. So it took us a few nights. We were able to finish it. It is a short game. It is a little bit spooky. It's pretty much, how do I describe it? It's some kids who just graduated, and it doesn't really elaborate on if it's high school or college. I'm gonna say college because they were drinking, but hey, alright, I'm just gonna be safe there. So it looked like there were, you know, 4 friends that were there, and then it has to do with, like, time, not time travel, but kind of time lapsing and all these different time loops, and you're trying to figure out what's going on, and there's some other real spooky supernatural stuff going on as well, too. I don't want to spoil it all too much, but it was definitely an interesting game. You can beat it within 3 or 4 hours. I'd recommend giving it a shot. And the next game I picked up, I started January real strong, and I think it's something with when it's cold outside, I like to just stay in and play a lot of games. Because I remember I burned through all these games real quick. But Onimusha Warlords. So this, I end up importing, obviously, as you can see. It is available on all the eShops, thankfully, but I imported the Japanese release because I wanted it physically, and it is fully in English. It has English subtitles, English audio. If you don't understand Japanese, it plays perfectly fine. And this is a remaster, not a remake, of the first Onimusha game. And how do I describe this? This was the most 2001 thing I played in 2019, and it was beautiful. Like, the voice acting, the gameplay, the textures actually didn't look that bad, alright? They did a pretty good job with it for the most part. There were some things I could complain about, but either way, I really enjoyed going through this. I was laughing my ass off playing through it, though, because the best thing is, Samanosuke in there, half the time when he's looking at the camera, he looks like he's just seen some heinous shit and he can't get over it. So it's really funny seeing those 2001 PS2 textures all of a sudden blown up in 1080p on the Switch. Like, it was just absolutely hilarious to me. But aside from that, the game was still fantastic, a real fun game to play through, and I loved it. And then the great thing was, whenever there was, like, you know, because there's some real fucked up monsters in here and just some odd stuff that happens. And whenever there was like something gross or something off-putting, I would kind of show my girlfriend, like, I'm playing on the Switch, I was like, hey, look at this, and she'd get all freaked out. And I had a lot of fun with that too. So I had a ton of fun playing through this. This is one of my favorite games I played through this year. Is it Game of the Year? I can't say that actually, because that's going to be another video. But hold on, with this, no, I can't even count for Game of the Year. This technically came out in 2018, but I finished it in 2019. So yeah, that was all the games that I finished for January. So next up, we're moving from technically, I didn't finish this one on the Switch, it's just a placeholder, but let's go ahead and move over to another console. And the next console we went to was the PlayStation 4. So the first game I ended up finishing, which I scheduled game time for this. And I kind of just no-lifed it for, you know, the week or two that it took me to finish this game. Because I just said, you know what? I'm not playing anything else that I have access to. I'm only playing this game. I am dedicated to it until I finish it. I'd say it was worth it. Kingdom Hearts 3. And the reason why I say that is because we've been waiting how long for this game? It wasn't just me, it was everyone else, alright? It was even to the point for me, I successfully avoided any type of spoilers for this game. I had seen the game leaked out, I had seen that people were talking about leaks, but I successfully avoided all spoilers for this game. It was great. I'm still impressed by that, and I don't want to spoil it here. Because I even said on Twitter, when I was talking about this initially when it first released, I had said something along the lines of, hey, here's my first thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 3. No, I'm not going to tell you. You all have been waiting just as long as me. I want people to experience this. I don't want to spoil this game for anyone. And if you're going to get the game spoiled, you're not going to get it from me. I don't want to do the disservice of spoiling a game for someone. I will say, though, overall, my thoughts on this, it certainly could have been better. It was not all that it cracked up to be, but it was Kingdom Hearts 3. And the thing is, I mean, the game was in development for so long and the ceiling was just so high for expectations. I don't think there was any way that they were going to make it. Like, kind of a side tangent here, but Half-Life Alyx, for example, that just got announced, that prequel game, from what I had heard, and I'd heard this on the CU podcast, they were talking about this, so maybe it'd be better to get the official source from there, but they were discussing Half-Life Alyx, and allegedly, in order for Valve to even work on Half-Life Alyx, the dev team had to be told multiple times, like, hey, this is not Half-Life 3. You are not expected to work on Half-Life 3. You are not making Half-Life 3. And then once they were sure that it was not Half-Life 3, they greenlit the development. Because in a way, they're so... Half-Life 3 has been in development hell for so long, and the expectation is just so high, that in a way they are terrified of working on and releasing Half-Life 3. And I feel like that's kind of what happened, with Kingdom Hearts 3 here. But at one point as well, they kind of just said, we gotta just get this out the door. And I know there's new DLC that is coming out, if not is out already for this. I do plan to play it. I'll play it on PS4. But, yeah. I say that, obviously I have it here. I bought it on Xbox One as well. It's on sale. Whenever I play through Kingdom Hearts 3 again from start to finish, I'm going to do it on the Xbox One, just so I can experience it on both systems. But I want to play the DLC, whenever it drops and such, and whenever I have time for it. And I will play that on the PS4 copy, because I'm assuming I haven't even looked at the trailer for it yet, alright? But I'm assuming it takes place after the game, so why not play it on the system where I finished the game already? This game made me cry, by the way, as well, too. And it wasn't even like that the ending was sad or anything. I will say probably out of the Kingdom Hearts games, Kingdom Hearts 2 had the best ending in my opinion. But I got really emotional at the end because it was just, as soon as the credits rolled, it was just very much a thing of, I've waited so long for this, and it's over. And I can't believe I finally got to experience this in my lifetime. And whether or not it was disappointing or hype or good or bad, I got to experience it after waiting so long. And just that feeling just came over me as soon as the credits rolled. And I just started crying right there. I love it when games can do that. The next game, which I did not cry over, but it was fantastic, was Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 Remake. This is a phenomenal game. Alright, this game, oh my goodness, is so good. And I think the worst thing that I have to say about this, it's my fault, I only finished half the game. By that I mean, yes, I did beat it, but I only beat Leon's story. So you might see this on the list of games I beat in 2020, because I still have a whole other campaign that I need to play through. But either way, it does count on here. I did beat it. I went through a campaign, the credits rolled and everything. Leon's was fantastic, though. This game, I can't say enough good things about. This game was so good. Also, it kind of taught me, too, wait for used games as well. Because just kind of a tangent as well. This game, Resident Evil 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3 came out on the same day. And I had them both pre-ordered, both like the deluxe edition here and the regular edition. And then I canceled this because I said, well, why the hell am I going to play Resident Evil 2 when I have Kingdom Hearts 3? And I'm not going to touch Resident Evil 2 until I'm finished with Kingdom Hearts 3. So I canceled Resident Evil 2. I picked up Kingdom Hearts 3 day one. I played through the game. And like right after I picked it up, I had I want to say like a 20 or 25% off coupon for GameStop. And then I had another coupon, and then I rolled into the GameStop, and they had this that like just got fresh on the shelf used. So like right after the game came out, like let's say 2 weeks after or so, 2.5 weeks after the game came out, I picked it up for like $40. And then I actually had time to play it. So I was like, it was nice. I didn't, get to waste that money there, the extra $20, if I paid $60 for this. But yeah, sometimes it's just worth waiting. But yeah, Resident Evil 2, phenomenal game. I can't recommend that enough. Let me move that down. So that was all for February, right? In March, I ended up playing through, and this took me a couple months, but in March on the side, I was playing Diablo 3 on the Switch. I'm giving it the stink eye because, I like Diablo 3, right? I really do. I just really don't like what Blizzard did later on this year. For anybody I don't want to get into the whole politics of it, but Blizzard in China, that whole thing, I remember the most disappointing thing for me was I was like, damn, I really like Diablo 3. And now, just on principle, I don't want to play it. It's still a great game, don't get me wrong. I played through it on Switch. Absolutely loved it. Really enjoyed it on Switch. It was great. I didn't really use the Ganondorf armor set, though. But what can I say? I've played through the game several times at this point on different platforms. It's still the same game, just on a different platform, and I very much enjoyed it. Diablo 3. If you like dungeon crawlers like Diablo and you like Diablo, you're going to like it on Switch. If not, you're not going to like it on Switch. And Blizzard, just get better. Come on, man. The next game I ended up finishing in March was this game here. Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. So, I bought this game as a show of support. I want to support the No More Heroes series. I know when the Switch was announced, it was announced that there was a No More Heroes type title that was in development for the Switch, but it was not No More Heroes 3. And it was said multiple times that depending on the sales of Travis Strikes Again, that would determine if there's interest to drum up a No More Heroes 3 release, which we are getting on the Switch, thankfully. So I did my part, as you can see right here. How do I say? This game wasn't good. Alright? I really don't recommend this game. I bit the bullet for y'all. I played through it. I bought it. But it's cool, like, at the beginning, it's pretty much like 5 or 6 different games that you get put into. Because you have what the hell is it? You have a console in there called the Death Drive Mark II. And there's like 5 or 6 different games, and you get sucked into each game, and you beat that game within the game itself, and then you're done with it, and you pick up a new game, and you get into that. The problem is, all these games try and be different and witty, and the wit dies on you real quick. All the games just end up being about the same damn thing with a different skin, and then maybe the worst part of this is when you're finishing each of these games, you then go on like a text adventure, kind of like Zorp, I want to say. I think that's it. It's like a text-based adventure, right? And it's so boring. And the text just keeps going and going, and it even makes fun of itself. Like it will poke fun of itself, and at that point you're just like, this is not cute, this is not funny. You're wasting 20 minutes of my time where I'm just sitting here scrolling through the text and pressing A. There was so much in terms of the design of this game that was done so poorly, and it's really disappointing. And I got the season pass that comes with the DLC and shit. I was so happy to put this game down. And I almost quit playing this multiple times. But part of the challenge as well too is I'm like, no, if I'm halfway through the game, I'm gonna dedicate myself to the full game. Alright? So, this game was not good, alright? This is probably the worst game I finished this year. Oh boy. So, April. Better games, we end up turning things around. This is going to be a placeholder, but technically I played through this twice, and this is going to be the first game I want to touch up on. So I actually asked about this in a poll on my YouTube channel here, and I said, hey, so I kind of do this thing where I play through, I count every single game that I beat this year, every year, and some games I beat multiple times in a year. would it be okay to double count that? So for example, this is a real thing that happened. Deathmark, let's say I beat it in April and then I beat it in December. Can I count it for April and December, or does it only count in April? And it was a landslide vote. Most people said you count one game, you count one game for 1 month that you beat 1 year. So I'm only counting the first time I beat a game. Each time is what I'm saying there. But Deathmark here, this was cool. And now we're getting into something else that's a little bit different here. I guess between, are these not, I don't know. I was gonna say, this kind of started the whole weeb thing this year for me. This is probably the most weeb year I've had in terms of gaming. And you're gonna see as we continue on. But this is the first visual novel I have ever played through. I've heard about these, I've seen interesting things about them, but I did not play this on Switch the first time through. I actually checked this out from my library on PS4, which was awesome because it was free and I got to experience this because I've been so indecisive. Since this game came out, since Halloween of 2018, I see it at stores, it stares me in the face, and I was always wanting to get it. And I'm like, I don't know if is this going to be just a waste of $60 though? I don't know. So I was always so indecisive. So the library gave me that option. The problem was then I decided I wanted to finish it and that I wanted to own it, but I was like, well, I might as well just play through it here, play through it for free while I have access to it. And I would have played it on the Switch, but I didn't have the Switch copy on hand. I had the PS4 copy. And the reason why I say that's bad is because visual novels, for me at least, they are games you play on a portable system or a handheld. So for example, I guess if I was going to play one on PC, I'd want to play it on a laptop. I played several visual novels on the Vita. The Vita was fantastic for that. And then the Switch is the best of both worlds in my opinion. Because I was using, when I was playing other visual novels this year, I was using my game console that I was playing it on as a book, as an e-reader of sorts. And my book being the visual novel. It's not fun to play through a visual novel sitting back here on the couch and looking at a big screen TV because that's all you can do, But with a book, you can literally curl up with your system or curl up with a book or something. And that's my preferred way of playing them. So I have to say the Vita and the Switch are my favorite platforms of playing visual novels on. I really wish I played through this on the Switch the first time, but either way, I got it later on, so it's okay. But this game is awesome. I guess the best way in short that I've been able to describe it to people is Silent Hill visual novel. It's not literally that, but it gave me the same feeling. And especially now the good side is when I was playing it here on my TV in the basement, I had all the lights off, I had the surround sound going. There were several times I had to stop playing this game because of the sound and because of the environment that I was really getting into. Because when I read, I'm visualizing a lot of stuff. I create a story or a movie in my head, but then because it's a visual novel, you're seeing everything there as well too, so you don't have to use as much imagination, But this was an awesome genre for me to get into this year. I absolutely loved it, and I talk a lot about Deathmark. If you follow me on Twitter, if you don't, please follow me, Mr. Mario 2011. I have brought Deathmark up several times on my podcast, Mario's Minute. I had Skeletor on one episode, and we talked about it because, we love Skeletor, and he's a weeb. But he had asked about this, and when I described to him, I said it's kind of like it's a real spooky visual novel. It's very atmospheric. It's kind of like Silent Hill visual novel in a way. He was all on board. He's like, that sounds amazing. Yeah, how have I not heard of this? So there's other visual novels I need to play. If you have any recommendations, let me know. But yeah, I can't recommend Deathmark enough. This game was awesome. And I don't want to spoil too much of the story because this game, the whole thing is the story. The only downside to this is mechanically. The actual mechanics of the game, it's very slow paced on purpose. And that's a fault of the game design itself, not so much anything else really. And it can get a little tiresome at times. But its sequel, kind of pseudo-sequel, I'm playing through it right now, is called NG. That seems to fix all the technical problems I had with this game, which is great. But Deathmark, I can't recommend enough. And I actually played through this twice. One thing, if you're going to pick this up, I am going to say this. I'm going to say this, all right? Slight spoiler. There are 6 chapters to this game technically, and the only way to play through chapter 6 is to get the good ending. So, if you want to get the good ending, you have to play through the first 5 chapters without anyone dying. I'm just going to give you all that tip, because I messed up and got the normal ending my first time through. My girlfriend actually played this on Vita and really enjoyed it, and she messed up in a different way and got the same thing as well. So I actually played through this game a second time. I played through it in December so I could get the good ending, which I did get, so that way I could prime myself and play through its sequel properly. So yeah, that's the only thing I want to spoil for you all on that. The next game here that I do not have a physical copy of because there's none available was Deltarune Chapter 1. Now this one people might or might not want to include. I'm going to include it, damn it, alright? Because it's not a demo. It has been released as a... Is it a teaser game or something? It's been released as a game, but Chapter 1 to an upcoming game. In case you do not know, Deltarune is the prequel to Undertale. I finally finished, got, the best ending and such on Undertale last year. Absolutely loved it. And then Deltarune Chapter 1 came out this year, which it came out, did it come out this year or no? No. It came out at one point on PC, and then it ended up getting ported later to consoles. And it's free, so if anybody's interested in it, I'd recommend find it on your local shop, whatever you're playing on, if it's on PC, if it's on PS4. I don't know if it's on Xbox One, but if it's on Switch, it is free. Deltarune Chapter 1, and it's great. And you really don't need that Undertale backend on there. It certainly helps a ton if you've played Undertale, but if you're just going into it fresh, it's really enjoyable as well too. So I would recommend playing through it. My thoughts on this game though, it was awesome. I can't wait to play more of this. And it was incredibly charming. Absolutely loved it. I also really liked the improvements to the battle system as well too. The battle system on Deltarune is so much better than Undertale. My girlfriend actually, I brought her up a few times because she actually, funny enough, got her first system this year thanks to me. And it was a Vita. Of all things, that was her first game system. But she was trying to play through Undertale. She was interested in it. She was trying to play it, and she just couldn't get into... She couldn't get into the game itself, the gameplay itself, but she was able to have an easier time getting into Deltarune. So it seems like it's more fun, and they also kind of made it less prohibitive if you don't like that style of game, in a way. I guess that's my way of explaining it. But either way, fantastic. Can't wait to see what Toby Fox has in store for us for the full release. Next up, I had I don't want to get up, alright? I really don't want to get up and get this. Halo Combat Involved in May. This was a real fun time. I played through the original Xbox version of this, and I was actually talking with a friend who I hadn't talked to in years. We ended up getting reunited online. Shout out to Andrew. We ended up getting reunited online, and I spent a few nights, 1 or 2 nights, just talking with him on Discord, and I was just playing this game on the side. And what I did was I had my X3, my Executor 3 modified original Xbox, had the game transferred over, and I ended up just using a trainer, and I enabled a few things, like infinite health and such, and just burned through the game for fun. And it was a real fun time. I very much enjoyed doing that. There's not much else for me to say. It's the first Halo on the original Xbox. It definitely chugs a lot more than I remember, alright? It chugs a lot more than I remember. But it's still a fantastic game. I still have, I'm smiling. I still have such a fun time playing through that game. So it's one of those games you can just put in front of me and I'll just start burning through it. There's a few games that are like that. One of them is Grand Theft Auto 3. But yeah, Halo Combat Evolved. I mean, the game is 18 years old at this point, alright? I don't know what there is to say that hasn't been said at this point. Good and bad. The next game I finished up, this is in June, was Darksiders War Mastered Edition on Switch. And my god, I'm so happy I finally knocked this out, alright? You all, I started this on 360, never really, I always thought it was cool. I never really got that far into it. I started off on 360, never got that far into it. Started on PC, never got that far into it. Started on PS4, I think. Never really got that far into it. It was finally on the Switch. I was like, that does it. I love the Switch. This is probably my favorite handheld, not handheld, it's probably my favorite platform to play games on right now. And I have Darksiders, and it looks like it's a good port, and I'm going to play this now because I have it accessible everywhere. And it was worth it. This is pretty much Hell Zelda, is the way I explain it. I would say Zelda in Hell, but that's not accurate. It's more Hell Zelda. And if you want a great explanation and kind of review and introspective look at the game, Nintendo actually did a fantastic video talking about this, where he pretty much called this the Zelda game you've never played, or the Zelda game you haven't heard of. It was something like that. Because this is pretty much Hell Zelda. That is the best way to explain it. And I remember even back when this game came out, one of my best friends, Sean, I went over to his place at one point, and this is right when the game came out. He was playing through it, and I looked at it on the screen. I was like, what game is this? And he told me, oh, it's Darksiders. I was like, that looks like Zelda, but like a hellish version of Zelda. And he said, yeah, it plays a lot like Zelda games. So I would say that And the Switch is a fantastic way to play it as well, too. There's also 2 modes. One of them is a high-resolution mode, and you play it around 30 frames a second. I chose for the performance mode, which makes the game look not as nice, but it plays at a locked 60 frames per second, essentially. And when you're playing on a screen this big, it's fine. But I highly recommend playing this on Switch. Like, it's a good port, great price. It's like $30 full price, and the Switch is just a nice system to play it on. But I'm happy I finally played through this game. Finally. And fun fact about this as well, too. You might look, so just... Hold on. So, look at all these Switch games, right? Doesn't it kind of stick out like a sore thumb a bit? So, this is, I guess, the first print run, because I got this day one when it came out. I thought this was just kind of a Darksiders exclusive thing they were doing, where you see, like, everything here is dark and everything, and then the spine is dark, it's not red, but it's kind of white right here on the side from the back here, and I thought that was kind of strange. Apparently, this is actually a misprint. It wasn't supposed to be like that. It was supposed to be like any other release, any other Switch release, and have a red spine right here, but it doesn't. And I'm not mad about that at all, because I actually think this looks incredibly nice for, you know, the game and the aesthetic and everything. But, you know, that's just something to look out for anybody who might be collecting variants or whatnot. The first run of them has the black spine, and that is a pressing mistake. But I think it's a real cool pressing mistake. That's just me. So that was it for June. July, I ended up playing through a couple games that were a lot shorter, and I don't have physical copies of them, unfortunately, so bear with me. But the first one was Postal, and huge shout out to my friend MVG Modern Vintage Gamer, because I actually ended up finishing this game on the Switch. For anyone that does not know, MVG is a real awesome homebrew, you know, coder and emulator coder and such. That's putting it so lightly, but... he's worked on, you know, several different countless emulators, he's ported homebrew games, and he's had a real bug for the Nintendo Switch. And I have 2 Switches. I have a stock one that, you know, I'm just playing all these games on normally, no frills. And I have a modded one, where I'll mess around with other things, I'll mess around with homebrew, and I got to mess around with this homebrew extensively. So MVG has ported over a few games. I believe he ported over Outrun, he ported over Postal, obviously, he ported over Doom, and Diablo as well. And these are pretty much ports where you have to download the repository, the release files, the compiled files, you copy and paste them, and then in the instructions it says you need to own the original game, go to the original game, copy and paste these files, and you're done. So I did that. I actually went on to Good Old Games. I ended up purchasing Postal, and I used my modded Switch, brought all the files I needed to over, played through the entire game on Switch. My god, this game is disturbing. But it's so fun at the same time. That's the best way I can explain it. You're a dude who's going postal. You're killing everyone and everything just because you're angry. I remember I showed my buddy Sean this game, right? Like, I loaded up because he wanted to see how, you know, what you could do with a hacked Switch and how to boot up and everything. So I showed him all of this. Like, I showed him how to, you know, boot up a hacked Switch, boot up into custom firmware, and then I showed him Postal on there. And we were just busting out laughing because I was like, dude, this game is so fucked up. And he was just laughing. He's like, yeah, it is. And it's a short game as well, too. But I was able to finish it for the first time in my life, thanks to MVG. So thank you, dude. Really appreciate your work. The next game I end up finishing, I can't show you at all, like, in here, because I don't even know how the hell I'd get it down the stairs here. But Halo Fireteam Raven. This is one of the few Halo games I had not finished. And I had not even played it before this. I've only played it one time, and it was the time I played it start to finish. Shout out to my buddy Donald, aka D Green. He was actually moving away, so what we did was we decided to meet up, one last time before he moved away. And I am hopefully seeing him here soon. But before we moved away, we were hanging out, and I got a little bit drunk. And then I said I want to go to Dave & Buster's and play that Halo game. So we went to a Dave & Buster's, and we found Halo Fireteam Raven, and played through the entire game, start to finish. And it cost us a lot of money. Like, it cost me like $15-20 maybe, something like that, to play through the entire game. And it was real funny, too, because, like, there's several different levels, right? And I think there's, like, 6 levels. And every single time, at the end, you get your end game report and all that. And Donald had said to me, he's like, I noticed you were sobering up because at the beginning your accuracy was so bad, and as we were finishing up the game, your accuracy got better and better and better. And I noticed that as well too. This game is real fun. It's an arcade game. It's only available at Dave & Buster's. If you can go to a Dave & Buster's, try this game out. It is super fun, but play it with people, all right? It's really hard to solo by yourself. It was him and I playing it, and then there was, because you can play up to 4 players, and then there were other people who were kind of cycling in and out. There were like randoms that were coming in. But for the best experience, play through it with 4 people and be prepared to pay. And if you're not a regular Dave & Buster's goer like I'm not, I'd recommend try and go out of your way to go to a Dave & Buster's. It's real fun playing this. Let's see. The next game here. So I'm actually going to use this multiple times here. This little game here, this cute little thing, this is for a system not that many people might know of, called the PlayStation Vita. Maybe you didn't hear of it, I don't know. No, Sony's certainly trying to bury it under the rug. But this was another visual novel that I picked up. And I didn't know that much about it, aside from, that it was releasing from Limited Run Games. It looked interesting to me, and this is about all I knew. I'm going to read the back of it to you here. You waken in a decrepit old mansion. A woman with eyes of jade stands before you, informing you that you are the master of the house and she your maid. However, you have no memories, no concept of self, or indeed any certainty that you are even alive. And that is all I knew going into this. Now, I started this game, and when I started it, I was immediately hooked. The sound, the art, everything. The problem is, this game here, The House in Fata Morgana, the first one, I will say, it can be tedious as well. This one, so Deathmark, for example, it's kind of like a hide and seek. You have to, like backtrack, and you're actually moving around and picking things on the screen and such. This game is like I'm not kidding, it's 99% reading, 1% decision making. That's about it. There are multiple different endings you can get technically, but if you play through it, fully, you're going to get the one true ending on this. And it's a long game, you all. It's long. I think it was like 25, 30 hours at least. It maybe even longer than that, I don't remember. But it was long, all right? It took me a while to read through this game. But I read through it, and I very much enjoyed it. It's not for the faint of heart at many times. It's not for everyone. Because my girlfriend, for example, I was really loving it, and she decided to give it a try, and I could tell she tried like 30 minutes of it and just was not into it. And I'm like, that's fine. It's not your thing. It's all good. Because she loved Deathmark. She didn't really like this one very much, and that's okay. But I absolutely loved it. I will say, though, visually, not that much stuff is going on. Which I know it's like, yeah, you're reading the thing, but it's like, okay. Again, when you're reading something for like 25, 30 hours that is, on a screen, it's not a book. Like an actual book, I'm not expecting pictures on it, I just see words on a page and that's it. But for a visual novel, I need some more movement. I need something going on that's not just static images. And it was a little too much static images. And I could tell they were improving on it a bit because, see, one thing I found out, this is Dreams of the Revenants edition. So there's actually 3 games on here. So in June, was it, right? No, this was August. I ended up beating the house in Fata Morgana, or, yeah, Fata Morgana. I really don't want to spoil this all too much, just because, you know, again, visual novel. But then in September, I end up playing through the second game that is on here. Or is it the... No? Okay. I really don't want to spoil this. I'm going to call them games 1, 2, and 3, alright? August, I played through the first game. September, I played through the second game, which is A Requiem for Innocence, which is a much shorter game. It's like 8 hours, 10 hours, something like that. And that game, as I said, you know, there's times where it's just visually, a lot of stuff was way too static for me. There is more movement visually, and I very much appreciated that, all right? So the developers were improving. And then the third one probably had, you know, the most quality of life improvements and such. That one was the House in Fata Morgana Reincarnation, which I very much enjoyed. The problem I had with it, though, is that they put, what is it? They put voices in there. It was not English dubbed, it was only Japanese dubbed, and that kind of ruined it for me. So I actually went into the settings and muted the voices, because I was like, I can read through this, but I cannot read it with the voices. And it wasn't that the voice acting is bad, it's just I had spent at this point 35, 40 hours reading all this, reading with the characters, kind of formulating everything in my head over how people are going to react, how people are going to talk, you know, how they'll sound and all that stuff. And then the Japanese voices came in and they're voicing these characters for the first time. I was like, no, this is not what I had in my head. So I just had to mute I muted it entirely. Like, the music, the sound effects were fine, but the voices, I just had to silence, because I was like, I've been reading with no actual voices for over 40 hours. I'm not about to start now. And Reincarnation was great. This is such a complete package. If you want to actually dedicate yourself to it, you're going to get at least 50 hours worth of reading time out of this between all 3 of the games. And they were great. But if it's your thing, you'll like it. If it's not your thing, So, there. That was 3 games in 1. I'd say that was a real solid deal as well, too. The next game in September that I finished, which again, unfortunately, whenever a physical copy of this game does come out and I want one to come out, I am getting it as soon as I can. But the next game I finished up in September was Untitled Goose Game. I played it on Switch. I bought it the day it came out. I've been following this game since it was initially announced. I think it was announced like on the Nintendo YouTube channel or on, Nindies or something. And it was called Untitled Goose Game at that point. And it's just, you're a goose. You're a horrible goose and you're doing horrible, awful things to people. And that's all it is. And I had been waiting for this game. I had been hyped for it. At one point I was refreshing the eShop, just waiting for it to come up. I got it as soon as I did. And when I was playing through it, I was giggling and laughing at every little thing. Like, I had not laughed so hard at a game in a while. But this game is charming, it's fun, it's amazing. It's just, you get to play as a goose. It's a fantastic, charming stealth type, sandbox type game where you play as a goose. I had talked about this on my podcast, Mario's Minute, with Pathogen David, and I had 2 recommendations on this game. I said one of them, I wish there was a hiss button, because I've had a goose hiss at me before, alright? And the other thing, maybe they could do this in a patch update or something, I'd like it if you can skin the goose, different types of skins. So I don't mean literally taking its skin off, okay? That's cruel. I'm talking about making it look like a Canadian goose, as opposed to a duck-like goose. Those are my only recommendations I have. Aside from that, I absolutely love the game. I ended up playing through it twice as well. Another month I played through it. And this is going to be one of those games from here on out, Entitled Goose Game. It's going to be one of those games, if you put it in front of me, I will play through it. You have to pull me off of it. Because it's a real short game too. You can there's different modes to it. But you can, a basic playthrough, you can play through it within like 2 hours or so. So yeah, Untitled Goose Game. It finally came out. Next up, in October, I only played through, so, there's a collection of games. I only played through one, unfortunately. But I decided to randomly pick up Spyro, the Reignited Trilogy. And I played through the first one. And I loved it. Man, this was a real good remake. Not a remaster, a remake, excuse me. This was an awesome remake, alright? I forgot how much I liked Spyro, how fun it was. And funny enough, I never thought of this until now. I never knew how relaxing Spyro could be. I guess that's the best way of putting it. It was very relaxing. I started playing through Spyro 2, and they definitely ramped up the collectathon stuff on there, and I felt like it was starting to become a chore, so I stopped playing Spyro 2 consciously, because I was like, nope, I don't want to stop enjoying this. But Spyro 1, man, that was such an enjoyable, fun, like, comfy game for me. I loved it. Oh boy. Another game I ended up playing, which this is a digital-only title. It's not released physically, and this was an interesting one. I went, this year, I really played games that were different, alright? Different than what I normally play. And this one was called One Night Stand. So it was on sale for like $4. It seemed interesting, and then I actually saw another YouTuber, John Riggs, posting about it. He seemed to enjoy it, and he was recommending it. So I said, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. This is another game you can finish. By finish, I mean getting like all the endings within like 1 or 2 hours. And it's essentially kind of one of those like text-based type games, and you're trying to get different endings and figure out what's going on. And in short, because I really don't want to spoil it, but this is kind of the whole thing about it, and it's quick as well too. You wake up in bed, you don't remember anything that happened last night, there's a naked girl next to you, and you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. That's about all. I know, like, real different than like everything else I had played on here, alright? But I said, you know what, this seems interesting, I want to see how this translates in a game, and I think the developers did a solid job of it, so cool. The next game here, which, again, totally different game than what I normally play, The Dark Side Detective. This was another real, like, cozy, super charming, laugh out loud funny game. I ended up getting this from Super Rare Games. I bought this, like, they didn't give it to me. But, you know, it seemed interesting, and I'm going to read the back of it to you. Where cultists crawl, where demons dwell, where the occults? Ahem. That's where you'll find Detective Francis McQueen, the lead investigator of the criminally underfunded Darkside Division. When evil darkens the doorsteps of Twin Lake City, hell, even when it just loiters around shop fronts or hangs out in shady alleyways, he's there, ready to investigate the cases that no one else will. He is the Darkside Detective. So there's, I want to say, 9, including the bonus ones, there are 9 different cases on here. And every single case can take you anywhere from 30 to maybe 90 minutes to complete. It's a bit of it is a puzzle game, but it's not like overly hard where you're going to get super stuck on there. And even if you do get stuck, there's great resources out there. I had to find them online a few times, admittedly, because I suck at puzzle games. But I love the dialogue in this. I loved the art style. It was charming, ha-ha, funny. I laughed out loud several times playing this game. And it's kind of just a traditional point-and-click adventure type game, which works real well on the Switch. So I can definitely recommend it. I really enjoyed playing through this. Maybe my only downside is I noticed when I had the game running for a while and like I wasn't turning my Switch off, I had it in sleep mode, the performance was going down a bit. And it's not a overly, it's not an intense game by any means. But you can tell the performance was getting worse because when you were scrolling and doing the point-and-click stuff, everything was just moving slower. So hopefully that gets ironed out, I don't know. But just maybe a memory leak issue or something, I don't know. I really don't. Next up was another game that unfortunately I cannot show you on here, like physically, but I bought this digitally. Actually from the same publisher, Radalaika Games, who worked on, or they released One Night Stand. They ended up releasing another game. It was on sale on the eShop, $4, called Football Game. I am not a sports person at all, alright? But I decided I would try this game out, Football Game. I wanted to see how it was. It looked like it was interesting. Again, it was $4. This is another quick game. You can finish this game within 1 hour, within a playthrough. And in short, you are a high school senior. You're just waking up with a hangover, and you need to get to the local football game before it starts to meet up with your girlfriend. And there's just a lot of stuff that is not explicitly explained, a lot of stuff that is implied, a lot of stuff that you really have to come to your own terms with, and I really liked that open-endedness. It was actually to the point for me, I beat this game back to back. The first day, because I beat it within 1 day each time, I played through it once, And I was like, what? And then I decided the next day to play through it again in pretty much one sitting so I would absorb all the details. So I played through it in one sitting, uninterrupted, and it made more sense. But I also started looking up online. I wanted to see what people's explanations were and, just get some more, explanation on it overall. And they meant to do that on purpose. They wanted to leave it pretty open-ended. They wanted to leave a lot of things open to interpretation, the developers, and I really appreciate that. And that's, again, another type of, point-and-click adventure in a way. But it was a real interesting game, man. I definitely recommend checking that out if you have the time to. So, football game. It is not about football or soccer at all, in terms of actually playing them. It's about something much darker and much more sad. Another, here, is it this is actually the last visual novel I end up finishing this year. Well, yeah, excluding Deathmark, because I finished Deathmark again after this, but we can only count it one time. Root Letter. So, I'm just going to say I was actually disappointed with this game. This is one of those games, I guess it just really wasn't for me. Now, on a technical level, this is the best visual novel I played. And by that I mean the animations all looked great. There was a lot of movement on screen. The menu system was amazing. It sounds like I'm praising really basic things, but you gotta realize when it's a game that's all about reading, these basic things do play a large part in your user experience and such. So from a user experience and technical standpoint, this was the best visual novel. From a point of, hey, I want to play through a visual novel and enjoy myself and get the story and all that, I think Deathmark is still going to be my favorite, pretty close to my heart. Maybe it's because it's my first one, I don't know, you don't forget your first one, but it's a really good game too, and I played through it a second time and I still enjoyed it. But either way, Root Letter, pretty much years ago, you had a pen pal, and she writes you a mysterious letter one day, pretty much just kind of ghosting out on you. And then you go to her city to try and figure out where she is and who she is and what happened, and you're trying to unravel this mystery. And it's definitely a cool mystery game. The problem I had is that you have to play through this game multiple times. And mind you, that's nothing new in visual novels. But I didn't really find myself caring for the game all that much as I was playing through it. Caring for the story, I should say. Which is the whole point as to why you play through a visual novel, obviously. And then I beat it the first time and it said, hey, there's a couple different ways you can, there's other endings, there's other twists and turns that you can take. And I just kind of, I took the cartridge, I put it back in the case, I said, nah, I'm good. And I just put it down. I say that's disappointing because not only I only played through that one time, but I'd heard so many good things about this, so many good recommendations, and people are like, oh, you got a Vita, you're playing visual novels, you have to get Root Letter. Root Letter's the best one on the Vita. And then I played it, I'm like, it's not for me, all right? I don't want to knock it. It's not for me. Again, on a technical level and user experience, it's the best visual novel I've ever played. Story-wise, it's not for me, man. I'm sorry. All right. We're done. I don't need to keep talking about how lukewarm I was on it. So those were in November, Football Game and Root Letter. And right now we are here in December. And I'm kind of just cutting off the list at this point. There might be one or two other games I add in because I've been on a roll this December beating a lot of stuff, all right? So far just in a short time frame while I've recorded this. But first of all, this game, I had waited so long for it to come out physically. My Friend Pedro. This is one of my favorite games, again, that I played through this year. This game is absolute bananas, all right? It's a quick game. You can finish it within 2 or 3 hours, something like that. And in short, you wake up. You're a dude who has a gun and a mask. You wake up somewhere, and you have a talking, floating banana who is talking to you named Pedro, who is helping you out. And you gotta kill a whole bunch of people. And it's real cool. It's kind of this 2.5D style, but there's slow-mo, there's a bunch of jumping that you can do, there's a bunch of different weapons. And for a game like this, kind of like a shoot-'em-up type thing, you would think that, obviously, the dual pistols, the dual Uzis, guns like that, the dual wielding would be fun. My favorite weapon in here was the sniper rifle. I never thought I would say that. Yeah, my favorite weapon in this was the sniper rifle to use on my friend Pedro. Absolutely loved this game, though. I want to play through this again at one point, but yeah, it finally came out physically. I decided to pick it up, played through it. I was not at all disappointed by this game. It's bananas. You should check it out. Another game I end up finishing here, which I don't have because, well, I will explain it. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the 2019 release of it. So, I have not played a modern Call of Duty game since, and by modern, I mean like a new title that was freshly released since Advanced Warfare. Advanced Warfare was the last one I really played the multiplayer on, and I played through the campaign on. Since then, so that was 2014 that game came out, you gotta remember that. Since then, I've dabbled in Black Ops 3, but I've never really dedicated to multiplayer. I never finished any of the campaigns on there. Unfortunately, I do want to, though. But I dabbled in Black Ops 3. I purchased Infinite Warfare, but I purchased Infinite Warfare so I can get Modern Warfare Remastered, which I played through, and that one I don't count as a modern Call of Duty because it's Call of Duty 4 Remastered. It was just the same game I played in 2007. Still a fantastic game, I'm not knocking that at all. That Call of Duty 4 is my all-time favorite multiplayer game, but I wasn't expecting anything different from Modern Warfare Remastered. I expected prettier Call of Duty 4, and I got prettier Call of Duty 4. So this is a reboot. This is a whole new game. This is Call of Duty Modern Warfare. This is the 2019 release of it. And I decided to pick it up and play through the campaign. And I have to say, first of all, this was like the darkest Call of Duty that I had played. Not only in terms of, not only in terms of the content of the campaign itself, because it's heavy, man. It's some real crazy shit that's going on there, alright? It is heavy. But in terms of visually as well, I had to adjust the brightness and then the HDR brightness, and I had never had to do so many brightness adjustments at the beginning of a Call of Duty game. And then when you're playing through it, the game is just dark. But it's dark because it's trying to impress you with the lighting and everything, and it was very impressive. There were several times I was playing through the game and I was like, wow, holy shit, this looks amazing, oh my god. I was exclaiming out loud. And then about halfway through the campaign, I started losing interest. But it's a Call of Duty game. It takes 5 or 6 hours to finish, and I said, well shit, we're in it for the long haul. I'm here for the challenge, right? The beat a game a month challenge. That's what I'm trying to do. So I finished the campaign. I stopped caring about it. And at one point I tried the multiplayer. I didn't like it. I don't know. Character movement felt a little too sluggish for me. My character felt too short. And it just wasn't very fun. So I bought the game for $38 on Black Friday from Walmart. I gave away the 3-hour double XP code I had to someone on Twitter. I ended up selling the game for $40, and then I used half that money to buy Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered on PS4. Because I have it on Xbox One, but only digitally. I want it on PS4 to perhaps play with a few friends that are on there, and so I can have a physical copy of it, of course. But, yeah, that's about all I can say about it. I used... Okay, just thing going off over there. Fan type thing. I used Modern Warfare to help me buy Modern Warfare Remastered. But the tech has really come a long way. I feel like it's definitely impressive from a technical standpoint. But this year just wasn't for me. I'm not saying it was terrible by any means. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It just wasn't for me. It didn't keep me engaged. I didn't have fun with the multiplayer, and I don't think I'm going to be going back to it anytime soon, unfortunately. Maybe you really like it. I didn't. I wanted to like it. I bought the game, alright? I went out, I bought the game. So why don't I have it? Because I sold it, as I said. I typically, like you all are seeing here, I'm a game collector. You all are seeing back here, I collect my games. So occasionally I do sell games, but it's very rare that I turn around and sell a game that quick. And I decided to turn around and sell it because I was very much like, okay, I'm not really liking the campaign. I'm going to finish the campaign. And then I'm probably not going to revisit it. So if the multiplayer component is good, I'm going to keep it. And then I played through the multiplayer bit and I said, I don't like the multiplayer. If it's a Call of Duty game and I don't like the multiplayer on it, there's not really a point in me keeping it around, especially if it's a new one. Like, if it's a Call of Duty game I paid $5 for, sure, I'll buy it for $5, I'll keep it so I can mess around with it. But if it's a brand new Call of Duty game and I can make my money back like I did, I'm going to do that. And then maybe in like a few years, I'll find it at a thrift shop for $5. You know? I'm sure I will own it again at one point. It just has to be cheap. Oh boy. So, we are almost here, you all. Almost here. One of the last games we end up playing, which I think since I've started this challenge, since 2016, let me see. No. This has been 2017, all right? So 2017, 2018, now 2019. I think this game has showed up for the past 3 years, and I think this is now going to be just a staple. I'm probably going to beat this game yearly. So if you see this in the 2020 challenge, don't be surprised. But Hidden Agenda, I have talked about this game several times before. In case you have not seen those videos, though, this is an awesome game. It is from the creators of Until Dawn, so it's from Supermassive Games. It's the same type of game where it's an interactive movie, kind of like Detroit Become Human or Heavy Rain, for example. But Supermassive Games, they did Until Dawn. That's another one. Except the difference is you don't play this with a controller. You actually have to download an app on your phone or a tablet. Up to 6 people can play, and then you all are choosing there, and you use your phone as the controller, in a sense. So my girlfriend and I have played through this several times together, but it's more fun if you have a group available. So what happened was recently I actually had a game night, and we had 7 people in, so one person just had to, shout out to Devin, he had to kind of sit out and just share with his girlfriend. But we had 6 people in here, we had a full party, we played through it, and it was fun. The only downsides to this are, one, I don't remember like the parts where they give you limited time to like search the area and such. And I feel like, because this time around they were just going by that fast. It's kind of an exaggeration, slightly. But I feel like the more people you put into your party who play this game at once, the less time they give you, which is really annoying in my opinion. The second thing about it is we sucked as a group. So when my girlfriend and I have played through it, we get some pretty good endings. We figure out everything. We're really satisfied. But then when we played through it as a group with 6 people, all of a sudden her and I started seeing things we had never seen before. We started just taking real bad paths. And in the end, it was funny because like nobody was really satisfied. Like everyone here enjoyed it, but they weren't really satisfied with the story and the ending. And I was like, yeah, guys, we didn't figure out who this person was. We didn't bring this thing to justice. We didn't do this. And that happened when we played it. They're like, wait, really? Like there's different endings? I said, yeah, we really just suck as a group. All right, we just make really bad decisions together. And everyone laughed about that. But yeah, I would definitely recommend pick this up if you can. If you want to get some people together and they have phones available and, they kind of want something that's a little bit spooky, pick this up. These PlayLink games kind of flopped, so you can find them for like $5 or $10. But yeah, pick this up. Hidden Agenda, this is probably the best one of them all. It's great. And the last game I could say that I ended up finishing, maybe I saved the best for last, I don't know. This, again, the weeb shit combined with shit that I just don't normally play, but I want to be open-minded this year for 2019. And have some fun as well, too. This is the first game in the series I've played as well, too. Senran Kagura, Peach Ball. How do I put this? Anime titty pinball? I guess that's the best way I can explain it. And that's about it. I mean, there is a story there that you can catch on it. And it's a pinball game. If you're only wanting it for a pinball game, I will tell you this is the wrong one. It's a super easy pinball game, but even so, you really don't finish your pinball games because there is an objective that you have in the game. And you accomplish the objective before you've exhausted all your pinballs and everything, which is fine, so you're progressing the story that way. If you're just looking for like a regular no-frills pinball game, this is not it. But I like pinball, and I said I've never played a Senran Kagura game. This seems like it would be fun, and it is, as I said, it's anime titty pinball, don't get me wrong, but it is so over the top that it is hilarious. So I can't take it seriously in any sense. So I'm just playing this game, and when all the shit's happening, I'm just busting out laughing because I'm like, this is just way too over the top, and I love it at the same time. Plus, I guess you can say it's a pinball game that's easy to look at times too. So, it works out. But yeah, I finished this. There is a story to this. It's fun, though. Admittedly, it's fun. But yeah, that is about, at least with the physical stuff. Here we go. This has been all the games that I can at least physically show you that I finished in 2019. And let's... Oh, they're all gonna fall. All right, Lily, you get all the games. You get all the games. There you go. I think you could tell, though, from... Okay. You could tell, though, from all the games that I've shown you, the physical objects, the Switch has definitely been my go-to system this year. So, that's been a real big thing, kind of... I'm not dedicated to the Switch completely. It is my favorite, don't get me wrong. And by dedicated, I mean it's like I'm not all in on only playing on that. I play on everything. I pride myself on playing on that. But the Switch is definitely my preference. I just like having access to it all over the place, you know? So the next video is going to be me talking about my game of the year for 2019, which I will tell you is in this list of games that you've seen, but I'm not going to be revealing it. So stay tuned for the next video. That's going to be the final video that I will be releasing in 2019. So for anybody who's followed this challenge this year, hopefully you all enjoyed it. Hopefully you all got some from this. I don't know. And I want to know, if you made it all the way into the end, let me know of all the games you finished this year, alright? I want to know, because I like to see what other people finish each year. So I guess we'll see. I think this has been the longest video I've done on this too. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, a like would absolutely be appreciated. And if you didn't like it, a dislike's fine as well too.